my name is Artsy, the Artsy sister, and we're continuing with Saturnastra. This is chapter 51, Sacred Flame. Tonight was a calm and frozen night, and there was a strong wind coming from the north. He was on top of one of the guard towers overlooking the savannah, and the animals in the savannah were still as death, and from time to time a cloud would pass by, obscuring the crescent titan moon. The wind died down, bringing with it a unique stillness. His black clay stopped furrowing, and it too mimicked the stillness of the night. The light torches began to go out one by one, and he breathed in an icy chill of the night. And with the light slowly dissipating, he was able to better focus on the horizon. It seemed to him that there were hundreds of fireflies. However, there were no fireflies in the savannah as far as he knew. He flew up in the night sky to get a better view, and his back was cast against a faint golden light of the titan moon. A strong wind made a hero's feather, and the further he flew, the greater the number of flames that appeared in the darkness. And there was a sea of campfires a few miles from the city. He landed on top of one of the guard towers, and a half-asleep sentry asked, "So, do you see anything?" "There's an army approaching," said he coolly. This news struck the sentry like a bucket of cold water, and he looked over the horizon, but he did not see anything. The sentry said, "I don't see anything. Are you sure you saw an army? People camp near the city do from time to time. This doesn't mean that they're an invading force." He shrugged his shoulders and said nothing, and he jumped down from the tower and made his way towards the central market. The Senaigas were going lamppost by lamppost, reigniting them. Sin was waiting for he by the central fountain, and he too was dressed in black robes and a black cape, and he asked Sin, "What's the matter?" "I don't know, I just feel a little fidgety tonight," said Sin Johnny. "I know what you mean," said he, folding his arm, and he bit his lower lip and frowned. And he had to strain his eyes to notice Brunhilda camouflaged into the column of a nearby temple. And Sin commented while pointing to Brunhilda, "She has been acting strange for these past few days." "We should leave town before anything bad happens," said he, looking towards one of the exits. "Are you worried about the army?" inquired Sin. "I heard from my master that the main force was coming back, so it's safe to say that they're not here to invade." "Yeah," said he, looking at the empty stream. Brunhilda snapped her fangs, and she made her mane stand on end. Sin then said, while looking at Brunhilda, "Well, she is more feral than most, and her kind has a second sense when it comes to danger. I learned to trust her intuition as well," said he. "All that remains is to discover the source of the malice." "Do you really want to stay here and wait for things to happen?" asked Sin, shaking his head. "The wisest course of action will be to leave this place as well," mused Wicked Sophie. "And have you seen anything out of the ordinary?" asked he. "It depends on what is business as usual in this city. We simply do not have enough observations to draw an accurate conclusion." "That being said, the tables have been pretty busy as of lately," commented Wicked Sophie. All our attention was drawn by the Persian passing by, and he was with his wares strapped to a large cart being pulled by a horse. And it was unusual to see him pack up and leave in the middle of the night. He was the kind of man who liked to maintain a presence in every marketplace, and his leaving meant that there was no longer a profit to be made in this city. "Where are you going?" asked Sin. "Home," said the Persian. "How come?" we asked. "It seems like a good atamasseni," commented the Persian, continuing on his way. Brunhilda mused a little while she tried to make sense of what was happening. After the brief conversation, he continued on his way, as the carriage stopped by him, and he too stopped to inspect within. And inside there was a lady dressed in robes, and in a soft voice she said, Come in, I must speak with you, Ahi." He shrugged his shoulders and he went inside. And the carriage circled aimlessly throughout the city, seeing Brunhilda follow along. He rested his head on his hand and said, "What is it that you want with me, princess?" Taken aback, the princess said, How do you know? "Your son gives you away, and mind you, I have a very bad nose," said he, tapping his mouth nose. "Is that so? I have an offer to make. My kingdom is in dire need of your assistance, and with your aid and the power of your dragons, I am certain we can bring peace to my home. And will you not end me in my noble pursuit?" she pleaded, making her universal sign of prayer. He bit the fingernail of his thumb a bit pensive, and then he said, sighing in imitation of Mildred, "Can you humans solve your own problem, and must we dragons always get involved in your psychodrama?" "I beg your pardon, I was not aware that you were a dragon." Her tone seemed quite different, and then she said, The simplest life matters. She threw a sleeping powder in his face and his body went limp, and when he woke, he was in the center of a pentagram. And there was priests with incense all about, and for the last 2 hours they had been speaking words of magic in a vain attempt to bind Ahi to their will. A cold breeze lifted the drapery adorning the roof of the temple, and there was a circular hole in the roof, and the ground around Ahi had a stars and marking the constellation. One by one, the Hatijas of the city manifested before Ahi, enjoying the reverie, and all the goddesses of the city were gathering in this very spot, and the sole purpose was to bind Ahi to their will the same way they had done so with the ice dragon of legend. This so-called ice dragon of legend had loved the human maiden, and in his delusion he had given her his true name. With his true name, the maiden was able to bind him to the city and make him her slave. And this current priestess hoped to do the same with Ahi. Ahi knew and placed his hands in prayer position while gazing at the night sky. There was a nice year as the spirit spoke all of Ahi's name, and they had taken the time to write down Ahi's complicated introduction, and the names were the basis of the power in this town, and Ahi began to emit a pale white light, and markings began to appear on his skin as the binding ritual continued, and suddenly the wind died altogether, and there was magic in the air making a whirl sound, and the ceremonial glass statue of the ice dragon was decapitated, and the letter in his body shot away from him like crimson bullets, and they impaled itself in the circular radius marking the columns and even the priests attending the ceremony. And his rose became pure white, and even his skin began to illuminate, and the ground opened beneath him, and for a brief second all that we saw was the azure blue sky and the morning sun glowing in all of its glory. For the last few months, he and his friends had been avoiding humans, and they were pretty bummed out by the priestess attempting to bind Ahi like he was some common dragon. And the one person who was greatly disappointed was him, and he did not understand why Ahi had not made an example of the city like obvious the sentence had done up north so many years ago. And it was through their power the dragons up north had been respected the way that they deserved. Then again, Sin only had a vague idea of his true powers, and the region he had relocated to was similar to the forest he had grown up. The only difference was that this was a true jungle instead of a timber forest. He was resting on top of the canopy of a couple tree, and the tree in this type of tree can reach a towering 2,000 feet, and this one was one of the oldest couple trees in the forest. As such, it towered 359 feet. From this spot, he could see the entire forest, and Brunhilde beside him was catching the horizon, and Sin was sitting beside Brunhilde holding a large white parasol, and he had a lovely colorful scene displaying the Norman gods having a feast. And the two figures in the foreground were Loki and Gylfan, and Odin was in the middle, apparently chastising Loki. And the light showers were falling over the jungle, and there was a faint mist descending from the sapphire blue mountains. And he suddenly said, We best get going home tomorrow. If we wait any longer, I won't be able to take you guys home. You're not going to stay with us forever? Asked Sin, taking a bath. Forever is a long time, said Ahi dryly. We can still see each other from time to time. Each other I made a promise, and I promised my brother that I was going to take him home, that I was going to go home with him and all the rest to see our parents, said Ahi, shaking his head sadly. Can we come with you? I think. That's not up to me for to decide. After all, this is a family affair. Sin was quiet for a while, and the clouds parted slowly enough to allow the helioplasm to shine his golden rays over the azure mountain. Helioplasm is what they call the sun, and these rays slowly made their way towards Ahi as the clouds moved and dissipated. The end.